Call for a motion to approve the agenda for today.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for today, January 28th, 2014.
Second.
I have a motion by Christenberry, supported by Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved, same sign. Motion passed. Call for approval. Is there any item on the consent agenda that you would like to have removed? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the consent agenda, or the consent calendar, whichever you prefer to call it.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion by Christenberry, supported by Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Well, that just eliminated 15 minutes of the meeting, folks. That's why we went to the consent agenda. Public matters and comments. Any comment regarding our agenda for today? We move right along. First order of business is Mr. Cy Weekly, Housing Administrator. What did I say? Weekly? It's Cy Wakely. Mr. Cy, would you like to take the podium?
I just have, you have the motion in front of you. I think Brenda got printed off at the last moment here. For that we apologize, but I'm asking, as you all are aware, we're without a receptionist in the office downstairs, and we are seeking to replace that person with another part-time person under the same premise of $8 per hour and up to 25 hours per week. We sought this person out as described in the motion, and we are to give her a probationary period through the end of March, and then depending on that performance, review her at that point and perhaps make her permanent.
How long have we been without a person in that?
Since the 3rd or 4th week of November. 2 months.
2 months. Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the request from Cy Wakely, Housing Director, to hire a part-time employee to be stationed in the Oscoda County Housing Office for a temporary period of February 10th, 2014 through March 28th. You want her to start earlier than February 10th, Cy?
Well, we looked at the pay periods and found that to be the most advantageous to start her there.
Okay. Through March 28, 2014, wages funded through the Oscoda County payroll and reimbursed by Crawford County at the rate of $8 an hour, up to 25 hours per week at the discretion of the Director. Employment status to be reviewed at the March 27, 2014 Board of Commissioners meeting.
I'll support.
I have a motion by Grantner, supported by Berner. Any discussion? You left out the name. Ann Bloss.
Ann Bloss.
You want that included in your motion?
Doesn't have to be.
Yeah, should be.
All right, Ann Bloss. Put that in as the name.
All in, roll call.
Commissioner Kishnick?
Yes.
Commissioner Garner?
Yes.
Commissioner Christenberry?
Yes.
Commissioner Gratner?
Yes.
And Commissioner Wilson?
Yes. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cy. Buffy, you're up next. Buffy is our emergency management coordinator.
I prepared a report, which is before you, and it includes this quarter and then January up until last Friday, the 24th. And I won't go through that page by page, but I will go to page 5. And Brenda, you actually have a completely correct version. Everybody else is 2 page 5s, because I inserted information about the Emergency Management Performance Grant and the HEMP and the rebanding bonus that we received as well. And so that information appears on the page 5 in red for all of you, yes, and then on your page 5. And from there out, you may be a couple lines down from everybody on the pages. Most of our grants are kind of wrapping up actually at this point. And we have finally procured the radios and pagers from the FY10 grant, which was the last bit of equipment purchased when Bay County was the fiduciary agent. And we finally received those the first week of January, and they are in the hands of the fire departments and the sheriff's departments as well. And those appear on page 6. That was $7,300 worth of equipment. Our generator and electrical upgrade, what we are waiting on yet is the transformer, or excuse me, the transfer switch. And when Gaylor Electric has that transfer switch, he will be working in here on a weekend, shutting off the power and hooking the generator to the transfer switch and the electricity into the building. He anticipates that that will occur in April.
We're not anticipating any shutdown or anything?
I'm praying there are no power outages for this building in that time frame. A lot of our FY11 grants are already complete and have actually been reimbursed to us as well. The fiber optic project has received its EHP approval. That actually arrived quite recently. And we could proceed with that project. What I'm looking for from this board is a clear answer as to whether we will be progressing with the motion 2013-155 related to the installation of fiber optic via the contract with Merit. And I know you have some letters in there, one from Dan, one from Judge Root, and then one that you received today from myself, recommending that we proceed with the Merit project for various reasons. What I'm looking for is for the minutes to reflect the decision of this board to proceed or not to proceed with that motion.
Okay. You want to finish your report first?
I can do that.
All right.
Our FY12, most of that has been approved. Recently, our ham radio antenna system, which will complete the communications equipment in the Emergency Management Department. The Environmental Historic Preservation document was approved. They do want us to receive a clearance letter from the FCC, and I was just notified of that yesterday, so I am beginning to pursue what I need to do to get that clearance document and provide that to EMHSD. We have 2 interoperable communications type grant requests, and those are things like radios and things that will use up the remaining funds that we have after some of our projects are done, and most of the prices will come in a few dollars less or whatever, so we'll do those projects last. And we have a list of Citizen Corps projects which will be specifically for the CERT team. Recently, we were allocated $14,029.15 from Region 3 for the fiscal year, for federal year 13 for Homeland Security, and the LPT will be discussing those projects at their April meeting. Also, the Citizen Corps Committee has not yet met, and we will probably be receiving an allocation from them, and it's possible that we may be able to get mobile data terminals through the LETPA Committee. And we'll be pursuing that in the coming months and keeping you posted. There are upcoming events on page 9. That's not a complete list, but it is most of the events that I will be attending that I'm aware of, and it is through October, but again, there will be other things that get added in there in between. And our 2014 goal status also appears on page 9. And we intend to utilize our CERT team more this year. They've been relatively active and a good group of people to work with. And we're working on our NIMS compliance. Some of you have taken some of your ICS 100 and 200 classes, so I'll be adding those to the list, and I look forward to seeing that list grow. Do you have any questions on my report?
Not necessarily on your report, but the 300 and 400 classes, are those being, I have taken the 1 and 200, now the 3 and 400, there was some discussion as to when those were going to take place.
Yes, those are sit-down classes only.
Yeah.
And Healthcare Coalition is actually bringing in a round of training for that. The health departments are required to make sure their people are up to date. It is a good likelihood that the spring and or summer 300 and 400 will be offered probably right within this county. That's what I'm pushing for. But certainly within these 4 northern counties in Region 3 it will be offered. There's definitely a number of health department people that need it, so it will be offered through that, and we will be able to ride along, and that's a Region 3 project.
I thought there was something to do with the forestry service.
There's a possibility of one of the foresters who is trained as an educator to be able to provide that as well. But if we can do it through this other means, we will be doing it most likely through this other means.
Okay. Any other questions on Buffy's report?
The other thing that I'm bringing to you today is that the hazard mitigation plan has been approved by the state and by the feds, and we have reached a point that the LPT and the LEPC have proposed its adoption and are recommending the resolution, which is in your packet, to accept the hazard mitigation plan.
The back page is just their version. This is the way the county
Yeah,
adopts. our
utilize the
resolution.
way Brenda had rewritten it.
I didn't change a thing, I just put it in our form.
Actually, I would call for a motion to waive the reading of the motion.
I'll make that motion to waive the reading of this resolution.
Second. I have a motion by Christenberry, supported by Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Otherwise, we'd be here for about 10 minutes.
Let me make a resolution.
Yes.
I'll make a motion for resolution 2014-001, Oscoda County, 2014 has migration plan adopted.
I'll support. Motion by Wilson, supported by Bernard. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Resolution adopted.
And then before I'm seated, can you address a reflection in the minutes of a decision on that
Yes.
fiber optic?
One thing I did want to point out, I read your LEPC LTP meeting. Point of order, I believe at the LPT meeting, you had a motion seconded and made by a non-voting member of the LPT. You might want to address
I'll
that.
review that.
Dwayne Roddy is not a voting member of the LPT, am I correct?
That's correct.
You're chairman.
We'll go with that.
And I say that because he did second a motion and I think he made a motion.
I'll review it and see if we're
He's
in
the
the
chair of the
LEPC.
first
He's
group.
Of the
chair first.
LEPC,
Right.
but not the LTP,
LPT.
Yeah.
all those other ones.
The other acronym.
Again, just a
Yeah.
point of order, you might want to take a look at it. As to the merit, in June of this year, or last year, this board authorized me to sign a 5-year contract with Merit. My opinion is that contract is signed, sealed, and delivered, and it's a done deal. Does anyone on this board have a problem with that?
I kind of like M33 to have a chance to go through everything they wanted to. Because they were going to cut costs on a lot of stuff and save us a lot of money, even monthly. And Merit has really, they said $436 a month. I think M33 was what? They
400.
400 a month. That's $63 a month savings there alone. There's a lot of money we can save by going with M33 too.
But see, M33 was at that meeting. We had a meeting before we rented out the old library to Oscoda Valley Community Mental Health, and that's when Merit made their offer. And there were 3 members of M33 in attendance at that meeting, as I recall, because I was there sitting next to Gary Wood. And this is just, it's just one of those things. They weren't ready to go, I don't think, at that time, and we needed some action on it. And now we're going to get some action on it. And if we go back, and if you read Buffy's letter, this is going to put us behind the 8 ball again. The time frame will be to move back again, and we need to have this in. I read the letter from Judge Root. I have a lot of respect for Catherine, and she's for this too. And I agree with both Buffy and Dan and Judge Root, and I think we should proceed with this. We signed the contract, we agreed to their terms, and we should agree with the contract.
But if we went with M33, it's only $6,000, and the rest of the money, as we talked, could be used for other projects too. So we're not really losing the money.
That's not a given, is it, Buffy?
That's not set in stone either. We have to apply, we have to wait for approved AAFs and see whether those projects would be approved.
In my opinion, we probably pushed the project back about a year if we don't honor the contract that I have already signed, and I have a problem with that. I feel it is our responsibility to listen to the people that we've hired, the people that we put in a position to recommend. We did sign a contract in June. M33 was not prepared at that time to offer the same type of services, so I feel it would be detrimental to this board to not honor the contract that we have already signed. So,
Do you know when Merit will have us up and running?
I have to submit for a purchase order through EMHSD, which is usually a fairly brief process, and as soon as that is approved, then they could begin.
so we're talking about we could be up and running as soon as third quarter of 14.
Correct. Probably before that.
Well, unless I hear anything to the contrary, a motion or anything, I'm going to say that we will proceed with the contract that has been signed with Merit and put this issue to bed. Our ambulance director, you're up. Mr. Jason Beck is our ambulance director, and he's going to present the Ambulance Emergency Services Department's annual and quarterly report.
Say that 3 times.
A little bit pizzazz, might add.
How do you top that, Jason?
I know, right?
I will preface your comments reminding you that I am a senior citizen. I do wear hearing aids, and I would like you to speak to my level.
Okay.
slowly.
Alright, even with as much pizzazz as that was, I'll have to start with bad news first. Our proposed budget for 2013 was drastically over where we actually ended up. According to our actual proposal, we were $125,976 over what the projected was for this past year. A large portion of that came because of the fact that our maintenance bill our line item for maintenance was at 0 when I first came in. It had to be adjusted. Our present maintenance is at $25,000. Actually, the exact amount if you want to know. Maybe I will. Was that actually budget for? I budgeted for $25,000 at the end. Our total amount was $23,713. The other major expense, like I said, was the employee raises we got that started beginning in January. Now it was over $60,000. So those are two of the major problems we have with that budget. And that's actually the worst of the news. Everything else gets better from here. So we actually, our total accounts receivable for the past, our total billed rate for the past year was $845,467, of which we were able to recover or adequately bill $713,949.88. That gives us a very narrow margin. We only had a loss of $131,517. That basically is an increase from what we've seen in previous years. The total this year, we actually had an increase of $84,741. Basically, in a nutshell, we bill for this much, we receive this much based on insurance and what they allow us to get. The margin this year is the narrowest we've had. We're at $84,000, which is very, very good. We've also seen a decrease in write-offs from previous years. We're looking at $6,322 this year, which is definitely down. Adjustments I can't do anything about. That's the insurance, what we bill versus what insurance actually pays us. But that's pretty good. 12/31/13, our final on-hand amount of money we had in our rainy day fund or contingent fund was $90,404.89. And that's after you won't find any paperwork. That's as of this morning what we found out. Presently on hand we have 127. That's including in my bank and including in our bank account, and what's in the actual county. We have $127,000 and $127,536 on hand. So this is all. These numbers are pretty much, after everything's said and done, that's what we're looking at. The downside to this is that we saw a decrease in runs of about 67 runs a year from 2013 from 2012 to 2013. Let's try this again. In 2013, we saw 1,227 runs, which was down from 2012, which had 1,294 runs. So the major reason we're actually ahead and is doing as well as we're doing is because of transfers primarily. We're also doing better on our billing side and getting things in place. So the revisions we made back in September, which gave us our highest billable month, was what kind of laid the stone for the rest of the year. So we did very well there. So other than that, I have no questions. I just beat a lot of numbers that you realize.
How are we doing this month? We up?
Yeah, we're up. We're actually presently we've made a deposit on 121. That was $25,643 into our county fund, and we have at present this morning $17,413 in our bank account. So. My biggest concern coming up is the fact that our run volume is declining. Our run volume actually would have been lower than this, except that we picked up a lot of transfers this year that we didn't do previously, and helped us out substantially. I don't have the exact number for you, unfortunately.
Do you have any reason for this decline?
Population is a large portion of it. The other thing too, the biggest problem we have is because we're only running 1.5 trucks. At 9 p.m. at night, we don't have a second truck available actively. We don't have one full-time on at night. So those calls and those transfers as well, we have to turf to either MMR or Ogama County or Tri-Township. And so that's part of the decline. I'm not going to say that's the large portion of it. The large portion is most likely because of declining population. So it's actually good if you look at it that way. Fiscally it's bad, but it's very good that our citizens are not as injured as much or needing our services as much. So
it's a two-edged sword.
Yep, very much so. Well, our funding for the millage runs out. It's too early to tell completely how we're going to be. The big problem we're having is that the ambulances we purchased, which would lower our maintenance costs substantially, and would lower our fuel costs substantially, won't get here till July. So we're not going to be able to see accurate numbers completely and how much that's going to affect us. It's going to help, but it's going to be a little bit, not as much as I would have hoped, unfortunately. At least for this year. Next year will be a whole different story. But as far as that, the millage rate runs out, I believe, in August, as I understand it to be. So we'll be in shape there. I can't predict beyond that where we're going to be at. That's the joy of my field. It's not consistent in any way. So my bone volume might drop off completely or might double. It just depends.
Okay. Are you having contingency plans in place?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. I don't see us ever having to close our doors this year. That's the major concern that I understand. I don't see it happening. We may have to cut services at the most, but it'll be limited for a short while until the millage passes again. So, and that's the worst case scenario. We can find other ways to do it.
Are we getting employees with excessive overtime right now?
We're getting some. Our paramedics are our biggest problem because one of my paramedics permanently has out an injury. That one part-timer I hired back in September, I believe it was, or November, or September, October. She's out on injury right now, so that kills me in overtime for paramedics. That's one of the big problems we have. I've hired a contingent paramedic, and I have another one coming up the pipe here shortly. So that'll kind of get us back where we should be for that.
You hope that'll cut down on the overtime then?
Well, I know it will be, yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much, Jason.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. BOC and Brownfield. Who do we have on that? Mr. Michael Smith. And his board. What do you got for me, Michael?
Well, first, thanks for allowing me this opportunity to be here. To share a little insight about what was accomplished in our first meeting of the year, and from there, kind of touch on some of the goals we're looking to accomplish here in the future. Well, during our first meeting, we elected the officers. We got A.J. Welser as a secretary, Dr. Tim Jenks as our vice chair, and myself as the chair. And then we voted on the EDC contract, which I'm happy to say that is finally behind us. We then went along and assigned A.J. Welser to act as our liaison to the EDA. He'll go to every meeting and try and work together to keep us a little tighter working with the EDA. And of course, we'll also welcome the EDA liaison in kind to attend our meetings. We then decided on the dates and times for future meetings. The EDC meetings will be held on the second Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. Our plan right now is to make it a traveling to try and hit every township to try and get some more input from the different townships. And there's a reason for the more input we kind of are looking at. Now I talked about what's behind us, let me tell you a little bit about what's in front of us. Dr. Jenks brought to our attention the Economic Revitalization Plan that was put together in 2006 by Anderson Economic Group. Now if you haven't had a look at the study, there is some excellent stuff, some excellent analysis in there. Now, even though the study was conducted in 2006, I'd venture to say that most of the statistics are true, and probably some of the economics have probably trended a bit downward. For instance, on average, we keep about 34% of our income, our disposable income here in the county. What that means is 60% of every dollar that we make, or about 66 cents of every disposable dollar we make, we ship out to places like West Branch, Gaylord, Traverse City, Grayling. Now, also another point is our retailers combined in the county make about $50 million a year combined. Walmart in itself makes $70 million a year. So what we want to shoot for over the long term is to bring those numbers a little closer to where they should be, which is about a 44% stay-at-home ratio for our disposable income, and our retailers making about $70 million a year. Now, I understand we're never going to get to a place like Grand Traverse County, which has an 86% stay-at-home ratio for their money. And the reasons of that are obvious. Our location, our demographics just won't lend itself to that. But 44% is a real number that is attainable. So in essence, how do we get there? Well, the agenda we come up with is we're going to take this plan from 2006 and we're going to dissect it. We're going to find the items in there that are both tangible and attainable and are actionable. We plan to work closely with the EDA, who is a great group of people that do a tremendous amount for this county. We also plan to work with the Chamber of Commerce and both public and private entities, that being the businesses and some of the public entities like maybe the campgrounds and stuff, to try and boost the tourism. These goals that are in here are real, they're possible, they're attainable, and some of them are fairly easy to get to. So as we work through this throughout the upcoming year, I look forward to coming back and sharing with you guys our progress. And that is it.
Okay, we have 3 motions for you. Thank you very much for your presentation. You have before you the 3 motions that we need to make. I will entertain a motion to accept the Economic Development Corporation EDC Brownfield terms.
Make the motion to accept the Oscoda County Economic Development Corporation, the EDC and Brownfield Board terms for Michael Smith, 3 years, Tim Jinks, 2 years, Andy A.J. Welser Jr., 1 year, and the bylaws for the EDC and the Brownfield Board as written and approved at their January 16, 2014 board meeting.
I'll support.
I have a motion by Christenberry, supported by Berner. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I'll make a motion to accept and advertise the 2014 meeting schedule for the EDC and Brownfield Board as recommended for the second Wednesday of each month at 6 p.m. in the BOC meeting room.
Support.
I have a motion by Berner, supported by Wilson. Any discussion? Should that be amended? You said that you wanted to travel to the other townships.
I don't know if it needs to be amended or just advertised of where the upcoming meeting is. If the motion needs to be amended, I'm not sure.
Mr. Chairman, can I address that?
Yes.
For both the Planning Commission and the EDC, we felt a need, as opposed to hiring somebody from out of town to come and do public meetings, to just be a little more public ourselves and get around the community. We haven't laid that schedule out yet, and so we'll announce places as we go along, as opposed to trying to arrange the whole year.
Okay, in
right
other
now.
words, at the meeting in April, you'll announce, or February, you'll announce where the meeting will be for March.
We hope to be more in advance than that, but for now, the next couple meetings will be here in this room. But after that, we'll try to get out into the field a little bit and be in all corners of the county.
Very good, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Go ahead.
Same thing last time.
You don't want us to approve your contract?
Keep them coming.
Okay, I'll motion to approve the 2014 contract agreement between Economic Development Corporation, EDC, the Board of Economic Development, Allied, EDA. Board has written and approved the January 6, 2014 budget meeting and authorized the BOC chairman to sign on behalf of the county.
I'll support.
I have a motion by Wilson, supported by Berner. I will change one word to your motion from budget to board meeting. Just a slip.
Absolutely.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Brenda. Now you're done.
All right.
Why don't you sit down?
Planning Commission Board, I think, Dr. Jenks, you are up.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. It has actually been a pleasure to have these meetings this month. Things are working well. We are now 2 boards, which is kind of cool. To actually be functioning in 2 areas and seeing some people working together. We did make the minimal changes that you requested to the ordinance, changing the size of the board to 3 as directed, and the associated changes with it. Everything that any changes that we made flowed from that, nothing else. Made minor change to the code of conduct. I never figured out what the code of conduct was about anyway, but the one thing that it did seem to require, since the ordinance referred to liaison members that would, as permitted by the code of conduct, it seemed like the code of conduct ought to say something about that, so I added a paragraph in at the beginning talking about appointing liaisons who are non-voting members of the planning commission. And we do need those for some purposes. So those are the only changes we made to those, and we submit those for your approval. We spent most of our meeting talking about the master plan. As I think I've told you over the last year, last few months, since last summer. We did have one meeting last summer talking about the master plan and in particular the demographics in it. I don't really need that, do I? No. Okay. And since then, I got the master plan as a Word document and took out a lot of those pesky pictures that make a Word document difficult to format and work with when you're making a lot of changes. And then have been working with that as a working document and have on a number of occasions invited people, never a quorum, to come over and help and talk about it. So I never got anyone to take me up on it. But what we have here is a preliminary master plan. And our plan in the Planning Commission is to take this. If you're familiar with software development, which was my field for a number of years, version 1.0 of everything is the scary version. You don't want that. You want to wait till 1.1 when they fix the really embarrassing errors, or 1.3 when it actually works. Well, call this version 0.9 of the Oscoda County Master Plan. It's not even up to 1.0 yet.
It's not scary yet. Huh?
Does it represent the whole community? No, it represents me. I did whatever I wanted. I have a compulsion about proper grammar and passive language. And so I changed some of the wording. I took out some of the really egregious errors in it, like our population is going to keep increasing, which seemed to be a bad forecast in the last one, and updated the demographics and so on. Has some holes in it. At this point, are we ready to hire a consultant? I don't know. We don't know yet. I don't have anything in there for what the transportation projects are for the coming year. I don't think I need to hire somebody from Traverse City to go down the road and ask our road commission what their plans are. I think we can do that. So what we propose to do is we're going to get this up from 0.9 to version 1.0 by April with a plan to update it through the year. Along the way, we may or may not want to bring in someone from outside. I've worked as a consultant before. I've at times been the guy with the briefcase from out of town, and sometimes you need that. I don't know where we do yet, and when we do, we'll come back with a specific proposal to update specific areas of the master plan where we feel an outside voice is needed. We'll first look and see if we can find somebody in Oscoda County to do it, and if we can't, then we'll see if we can find the best person to bring your proposal. But maybe we won't get it. By the end of the year, we will have then, by April 1st, version 1.0 of a master plan. If you come up with some reason why we have to have a master plan, there it'll be, the 2014 through 17 master plan. By the end of the year, we will have that updated to the 2015 master plan. It'll be homegrown.
our view, our vision for what the community ought to be, and hopefully we'll roll that 1 year at a time as we go. I brought it for you. I'm killing my printer right now, so you all get a disc, which has the master plan and the aforementioned economic revitalization study. I think they go together well. Yes, you get paper, but
This is what it looks like before it gets to this point.
well, you can see why I didn't want to print out a copy for everybody that wanted one. And anyone else that wants it, I'll make more discs and you can print it yourself. Again, part of the vision is when you bring in the consultant, they do meetings all over the community. They want to meet in the schools, township halls, and other public places to get as much broad input as possible. We can do that too. We don't always have to meet in this room. And so we will make plans to schedule meetings somewhere else. We've already contacted some of the townships to see if we can meet there. I'd like to meet in the schools at various points and have a focused meeting where, let's say tonight we're going to be talking about schools. Tonight we're meeting in the senior center, we're going to talk about senior issues. Or tonight we're talking about natural resources, we're going to meet in the Forest Service building.
You're stealing my lines now.
I know, I love that one. And so, if we can meet around the community in public places, and we'll advertise that as we go, well within the legal requirements for public meetings, and see if we can get some of that broad input ourselves. And
Tim, do you know the other planning commissions of our neighboring counties? Are they up in, do they have good programs that are up and running? Would that be something you may want to look at? Why we invent the wheel if our neighbors can share it with us?
no, we have worked with DEMCOG some, but we haven't gone to Alcona and Crawford.
I just wondered, I think that would open the doors to a little bit of collaboration on our part too.
Well, and also, of course, we have townships with planning commissions.
Tap one.
None. Clinton, of course. We don't plan anything in Clinton. But yeah, some of the townships have planning commissions, and we need to meet with them and coordinate. I mean, some of them can actually zone, which is why our code of conduct seems silly, because we actually have no authority to do anything. If there's anybody in this county that would bribe a county planning commission member, I would want to know why. Because we don't actually decide anything. So, we can't enforce any zoning or anything, so it would seem a foolish expenditure. But I'm open if anyone has a lot of money. Bring it up. At any rate, that's what we submit to you, and I don't know that you need to vote to adopt version 0.9 of the master plan, but if you don't like our plan of action, then I hope you'd let us know. And I don't see any budget implications of it right now, yet. And I don't really anticipate that there will be any.
Thank you very much for your input.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I am looking forward to working with you on this, and I can speak for the Greenwood Township Planning Commission, and I know that they would like to have you come out and talk to us as well.
Good.
See what we can do.
We don't want to talk to you.
All right.
Our job is to listen. Listen and write.
You want to help me write a medical marijuana
dispensary? Depends which side you're on.
This is just an ordinance. Okay, we have some planning commission suggested motions. Number one is the members. I'll call for a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to accept the planning commission board terms. Tim Jenks, 3 years, Annie Galbrook, 2 years, Robert Madsen for 1 year, as recommended by the planning commission board.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Berner, supported by Grantner. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Second motion?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to accept and to advertise for the 2014 meeting schedule for the Planning Commission as recommended for the second Thursday of each month at 5 p.m. in the Board of Commissioners meeting room.
I'll support.
I A motion by Grantner, supported by Berner. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Third motion.
I'll make a motion to amend motion 2013-252 and accept the amended code of conduct as written and approved by the planning commission at their January 16, 2014 board meeting.
Second.
I have a motion by Berner, supported by Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Fourth motion.
I'll make the motion to amend motion 2013-253 and accept the amended Planning Commission Ordinance 2010-001 as written and approved by the Planning Commission on their January 16, 2014 board meeting and to advertise as amended.
Support.
I have a motion by Grantner, supported by Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Nichols?
Thank you, Dr. J. Moving right along to our financial motions. We don't have any.
What's in the consent?
That was the consent agenda, yes. Correspondence, reports, and/or resolutions.
Well, I guess for correspondence, I did write a letter to John Molinar, or Senator John Molinar, and I gave you a copy of the letter, his response back, and he is in favor of Senate Bill 636 that takes away the landlines, and he gives his reasons in the letter. And if I guess anybody else wants a copy of that, they can see his reasons.
I'm going to take the liberty of bringing up the 2014 dog licenses and vaccination clinics that are scheduled. That's going to be Saturday, February 1st, 2014 at the Fairview Fire Department Station from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. $5 for altered, spayed, or neutered, $10 for unaltered, rabies vaccination $20, distemper parvo $15, both rabies and distemper $30. And dogs must have the current rabies certificate, proof of age, and proof of spayed or neutered if applicable. Also, that will take place on Saturday, February 8th, 2014 at the Mayo Community Center from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Both clinics are being sponsored and offered by the Ogama Veterinary Clinic. So those of you who want to take advantage of that, February 1st and February 8th. Committee reports. Mr. Berner.
Yesterday I met with the Human Service Coordinating Council. They're starting several different programs. One is a wraparound program dealing with parents and kids. It's not a program, it's a process. Also, they have training for prevention intox, which is dealing with drinking and driving and the underage. Then I just met with our EDA this morning, and there are flyers out now that's with that 200-mile yard sale they're doing now. And Bob can talk about that later, but other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson.
116 EDC board meeting. Mike brought that up real good. I'm going to talk about that. 120 Elmer Township, they just went over their 2014 budget, approved it for this year. 120, Lee and Bill and I went over the closing out the 2013 budget. 121 LEPT meeting, went over the hazard management plan that we brought up and voted on, and the generator and all that fiber optic. 121, Jack and I went over talking about getting Rex a used truck and a new cargo box, which I got to tell you about the cargo box. 122, Stein Museum, went over their schedules for the year. They're putting in for some grants, talked about the phone, the bill, computer. They're moving on. 124, landfill, mostly claims, audits, went over the bills. Not much, I'll let Jack talk about that though. 124, claims and audit, that's it.
Okay. On 115, I did the claims and accounts at the landfill. And things are going very well out there, and excellent control of the financial situation. On 116, I went to Northeast Michigan Council of Governments. A couple of things coming out of that, and I need to talk to Dr. Jenks about this. I think part of it is going to work out very well for a project for the Planning Commission. So I do have the information I can pass on to Dr. Jenks. On 121, I attended the Big Creek Township meeting. They've hired a new firefighter, and they are working on their 2014 budget. On 122, I met with our county attorney, Ellen Crane, with Commissioner Christenberry. We discussed personal ethics policy, the fact that chemical workers are not representing any of our people here in Oscoda County anymore in our court system. Will be represented by, I believe it's the 23rd Circuit Court. What is it? They have a new group in the 23rd Circuit group that are in the 23rd Circuit Court that they're forming. So they don't have any bylaws, then that's going to be very interesting. So those of you who are familiar with chemical workers, there are no chemical workers anymore representing our people. Judge Yenner will hopefully include us in any negotiations that happen as this new group takes over. 124, the Landfill Board of Directors authorized the rebuilding of the loader out there. Apparently the controls are getting a little sloppy and the hydraulics are not working quite as well as they should, so the board elected to spend about $23,000 to bring it up to speed and make it a lot safer. We did review the 2013 year-end budget, and the financial positions are very good. And we're still waiting for RER to update the expansion of the facility out there based on the 35% increase in size that they're talking about for the gasification process. On 127, it was this morning, 128, I went to the Oscoda County Road Commission meeting. Health insurance negotiations are going on there, and they're offering 2 programs to their people, and nothing really major there. It changes as far as they're concerned, except for the Affordable Care Act is creating some changes that are going to take place that are probably not going to be received real well. But then, as you all know, the Affordable Care Act is making changes all the way around that a lot of people are unhappy with. So, also, they have elected to go with the hard cap versus the 80-20 plan, since they can opt out of the Public Act 152. And that's it for me. Commissioner Grant Christenberry, you're next.
Thank you.
Told you I was a senior citizen.
Okay. January the 15th, I went to the Northeast Michigan Health Plan meeting. We discussed the December financial statements, the claims, and the cost allocation per member. On January the 16th, we had our first planning committee meeting. Tim Jenks was elected as chair. Vice chair is Ann Galbraith, and secretary is Bob. January the 20th, Larry and I met with the treasurer, Bill Kendall, to go over the end year 2013 budget. January the 22nd, Jack and I met with our commissioner attorney to go over a few items, and Jack went through that. January the 24th, we had the claims and audits. January the 27th, went to the health department meeting, number 2 in West Branch. The new health officer, Denise Bryant, she just is going through everything and updating everything she can find. She's really good. She went over a few grants, the Child Care Grant, Northeast Michigan Rural Health Planning Network. They also were approached by Tanger Outlet to create a 3-year partnership in the pink promotion fundraising that supports breast cancer research. And a large portion of that would be donated to the health department to be used in their women's services. The dental clinic has moved out of the health department building, so they need to re-rent that space. The computer update is still going on. They're spending like $15,000 to update all of the computers over in the health department. Dr. Bush gave a report on the H1N1 virus. That is the most dangerous one. That's where the most deaths are, is with the H1N1. He also gave some tips on being outside in the cold weather. And then Doug Getty reported on the food license, public water supply sampling contract. There were several cease and desist letters to some tattoo places that had not renewed their license. And that's it.
Thank you. On January 15th, I went to the library board. They had their election of officers. Judy Olson is still the chair, Dawn Stenzel is the vice chair, and Deb Shoemaker is the secretary. They also are going to change their meeting dates from the third Wednesday at 6 o'clock. We're going to, starting in April, it'll be the third Monday at 5 p.m. And that's to accommodate some board members. The shelves are up in the library. Well, they aren't up. Shelves are there in the library, the new shelves. They're having a work bee to go over job descriptions and talk about some of their IT needs and their staff training. That's about it for the library. On 16th, I went into to the Department of Human Service, and they just went over their goals for the next year. Talked about their emergency service funds, which are being cut, and that was it for the DHS. On the 21st, I went to the Sabo Valley Community Mental Health Executive Finance. They're having their audit. They did have some audit difficulties. The auditors went home because the ADP payroll system wasn't allocating costs directly where it should. So they fixed that, and the guys will be back. We went over some snow removal. They are going to be accredited, and the reason for that is becoming accredited, it helps in audits, it helps in court cases. Accreditation means it's a nationally recognized standards for their organization. It's going to cost about $25,000, but they feel it's well worth it. On the 27th, again, I went to Department of Public Health with Lee. I agree with Lee. I think this new girl Denise is going to take care of the health department. It will be glad to be out of the news with those people. Last night I attended the Oscoda Valley Community Regular Board. We had a presentation on accreditation and its worth. And Dave, Oscoda Valley, they're going to have open houses in each county. And ours will be Tuesday, February 4th at the Mayo Annex. And Dave will try to answer your questions about eligibility, access, and services. And I look at this Oscoda Valley, they're quite the organization. I've been there a year and it's going to be like the school board. You're going to have, the longer you stay there, the more you're going to learn. They are trying to do a good job. They are getting their services, their funding cut, and they're going to try to keep services that they have been doing open, but they may have to cut some. So everybody's welcome to attend this meeting. Again, it's February 4th from 11:30 to 1:30 at the Mayo Annex.
Where's the Mayo Annex?
MSU building.
MSU building.
Thank
The old library. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Grantner. I did have one thing to share by Michael Delai. There's always an opportunity to make a difference. Think about that. From me. Public comment. You want to get ahead of?
No, but I don't see anybody else raising their hand. I always like to go last.
He always wants to go last, Bob. Don't you know
I
that?
know Kevin always does. Okay, he hangs back.
Mr. Mattson, would you care to comment?
Yes, on a personal note, I'd like to thank the Board of Commissioners for allowing me the opportunity to serve on the Planning Commission and be part of that change agents issue that we're going to adopt for this community. From the EDA standpoint, I would like to thank the board and the EDC for renewing our contract and allowing us to be the official agent for economic development in this community. That support means a whole lot to us for what a group of 8 volunteers does. Also, we sent out our newsletter. I hope by now everybody has received this in the mail. If you haven't, I've laid some copies in the lobby area, both upstairs and down. If you have any need for additional copies, because you want to use some more of those donation slips, I can get you plenty of those. I printed some extras just in case you're looking for anything to do. Before the holidays, I think I shared with you at your organizational meeting, we challenged the students out at My Fair to a design competition. Well, after the holidays, we gave them another week and a half to work on it. They submitted. We took them in. I numbered them so nobody had any idea who was who. I invited 5 very talented woodworkers in, and they judged them. And last Wednesday, we presented first and second place prizes. The first place prize was teams of 3. They split $750, and team 2 split $375. So their next task now is they have to build their collections. And that is a freestanding single-sided, a freestanding double-sided, and a permanently mounted to the house. After those 2 collections are done, we're going to invite this year's Habitat for Humanity homeowner to the shop, and they're going to pick out the sign they want, and we are going to personalize it and make that part of the presentation when they are handed over the keys to the home. Our goal is to get all of the Habitat Humanity corporations in the state that build 200 homes a year to contract to us to build the homeowner signs for all of their homeowners as well. So we may be able to find a product here that we can get some sustainability out of. So
very good.
We're working on a couple of issues, the potential for a call center, the potential for a public works grant program. There are some things that are in the works that we're interfacing with NEMCOG and MEDC on. So that's where we're at.
Thank you, Bob. I do have something I need to talk to you about, but I've got to find it first.
Okay.
It came out of NEMCOG at the meeting last week, and it had to do with a collaboration event having to do with our county, so
Okay.
I think it's something that you might want to, you may know something about already, but I do want to share that with you. Any other public comment?
Just a reminder about the benefit basketball game this weekend for, it's going to benefit River Owl Shelter, which is our 4-county domestic abuse and homeless shelter for the 4-county area here. So I think fire department, there's 4 teams this year. So again, I keep touting the fact that you may not see the most athletic game in the world, but it is always a fun time. And like I say, we've got 4 teams this year, so I won't be the only one running around like a crazy person acting like an idiot. I mean, I can do that on a daily basis, and I do it pretty well at each one. So again, $3 to get in. Can't beat that. They've got sloppy joes and whatnot.
February 1st at what time?
11 to 2 at the at the gym there. So I think fire department, teachers, DHS, and the sheriff's office have all have teams, and they're going to do a little round robin type of a deal, and so it should be entertaining. That's all I'm going to promise you. Athletic, I didn't say that on my side anyways, but always entertaining for that part. So.
Thank you, Kevin. Also, I would like to compliment whoever, and I knew at one time who it was, but I do not know now, that put the graphics on the red barrel in your office.
And they did next
For
time.
those of you who haven't gone
Yep.
into the sheriff's department, go over and take a look at the red barrel over there now. The graphics on that are beautiful.
Well, you didn't like the ones I did before on the piece of paper that
I'm
says
not
the different
saying
things.
that at all. I'm merely saying they are beautiful now.
She did an excellent job, and very well appreciated. It looks very professional. I showed it to, and for those of you that don't know, the Red Barrel Project is a 24/7 drop-off depository for any type of medication, whether prescription or non-prescription, and we can also take controlled substances. The Pioneer Pharmacy can take non-control items, narcotics, etc., and dispose of them correctly. Ours can take it just as long as they're in a pill form. And basically, I'm just asking everybody to make sure they don't mouth their bottles or their bags or otherwise, so I don't have to go fishing to make sure before we give them to DEA to make sure that we can dispose of them properly. And on that note, I forgot about that, April, it's the last Saturday in April, will be our Take Back Drug Day. We can take them back 24/7 right now, but this allows us to be able to get rid of the medication and dispose of it through DEA at no cost to the county. So, but it does look nice.
Can you share the name of who did that?
That was Sean McCosh, Sean LaFlash. I'm not sure which way she's going by, but Sean McCosh did that. So, like I say, I was very impressed. We went over some details, and I said, I don't have a clue. This is your end, and she sent me what we were looking at and a couple tweaks, and like I say, I couldn't be happier. I sent it to Lori Ames, who's the coordinator for Catholic Human Services. It was a big driving force behind that project, and she says ours is aces compared to every other county that was involved. So she was very impressed. So.
Well, please pass on.
I will.
The fact that I think it's.
So I was very impressed.
Fantastic.
Yeah, very impressed, no doubt.
Any other public comment?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion by Wilson, supported by Berger, to adjourn. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much for attending.